was arrested on June 19th and charged with murder. He's a student at Northeast High School, slated to start in 10th grade this year. Your Honor, just very briefly, Mr. Anderson was at the house of a friend of his named Mr. Palmer. They were watching the Final Four, not Final Four, but the NBA Finals. A couple of individuals came over, one of them, Mr. Williams. Mr. Anderson, my client, went to the bathroom. He came back out. Mr. Williams and his friend were leaving the house. Mr. Palmer discovered a short time later that he was missing some items. Mr. Anderson did not know what those were. He suspected it was some money or some marijuana, but did not know for sure he'd been in the bathroom. Mr. Palmer got on the phone, spoke to Mr. Williams, ascertained his location, and by all accounts from my client, it was a very it wasn't a heated conversation. It was basically, hey, where are you? Okay, we'll come to you, that kind of thing. He assumed they were simply going to get the money back. Didn't know anything else was going to happen. Didn't know anyone was armed that was in the car. There were, including my client, there were 4 other individuals in the car. They drove over to Kings Park, to Majestic Court, and Mr. Palmer got out of the car to speak with Mr. Williams about the missing property. Another individual came out with Mr. Williams named Mr. Shinholster, and during the course of this conversation about the property, Mr. Shinholster brandished a firearm. At that point, my client got out of the car because he was concerned about his friend. He was trying to tell him to get back in the car so they could go. Another individual was with them, Mr. Sims, who was the driver of the vehicle, who ultimately was the deceased here, got out of the car as well. My client turned around to tell him to get back in the car. We need to leave. This is getting out of hand. And when he turned around, he heard what he described as a clack. And when he looked back, his friend, Mr. Palmer, was unconscious on the ground with Mr. Williams standing over him, punched him and knocked him out cold. At that point, Mr. Sims, according to my client, pulled out a pistol and shot Mr. Shinholster, and then bullets erupted from everywhere. My client ran around the passenger side of the car and was trying to get out of the line of fire. Mr. Sims was shot, was yelling out, "I'm hit, I'm hit." He crawled through the passenger side and was trying to pull Mr. Sims back into the car to get him out of there. During that process, he realized that he had also been shot in the hand, and he's 16, Judge. He panicked. He put the car in drive and took it. And when he did so, he let Mr. Sims go, and he ran over his friend, Mr. Palmer. I think he sustained a broken shoulder. My client went straight to the hospital, was treated. He's talked to the police several times before he was arrested and told them what I've just told you. We are asking for a reasonable bond to be set.
The difference, as I understand it, is that the defendant here was armed when he arrived at the scene, and that he was the one that shot the Mr. Shinholster, who was shot in the stomach and in the leg.
What's the basis of that?
That the person that was originally being confronted, Jerry Williams, it stated that that's what he saw. And so he saw this, that was what originally happened, and then the gunfire erupted, this incident, and in the process, the Andrew Sims, the deceased, was killed as a result of that. So he is charged with murder. He is charged with aggravated assault.
Murder being felony murder.
That's correct. So based on that, the state does oppose bond.
Your Honor, if I could just respond very briefly.
All right.
There's certainly a difference between fleeing from the site of a shooting to go to the hospital to get medical treatment versus fleeing and not coming to court. There's nothing that indicates that he would not be present. As I said, his mother has a job here, a job for the past decade, has lived here her entire life. Nothing to indicate he would not come to court. There's certain provisions that can be put in place, such as an ankle monitor that can monitor where he is 24 hours a day. We deny that he was the person that originally shot. He denies that. Mr. Sims is the person who got the gun that started all of this, and it's unfortunate that he was killed in that